Shalom, shalom. Yahabashim Yahshua. Call halal Yahabashim Yahshua Bashim Akakadash. The bonus to the apostle at the S. Salutations to the elect. Men, women, and children that believe are the 1/3. Checking out this article, watching the video. Heard one of the brothers bringing it out. One of the elder brothers and men of valor bringing it out about this incident in Chicago. Not incident, but to show you how wicked, this world getting. And the longer this place goes on, the more evil is going to get. And that's why the Lord said, unless those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. Because destruction is coming on an all-time level at all angles. As far as the population of the earth being wiped out. Because the number one commandment or rule or focus of the Georgia Guidestones, which is the Guidestones that the elite set up, the number one main first thing they mainly want to focus on is depopulating the earth, maintain humanity under 500 million. So they coming up with sex dolls, gender wars, all types of things, you name it, to prevent you from reproducing, right? So and they going for the kids, because what kids are the future. So they attack, the millennials, Gen Zs, but now they going for Generation Alpha. That's the generation, what they call after Gen Zs, So, and by them getting the kids, that actually destroys the future. So they attacking them because what they say, children are the future. But I'm going to read some of this article. It says, here's how one transgender teacher is making space in Chicago's public schools. Right, I'm going to just, this is what she said. I don't want to read too much of this. I'm going to hit the scriptures. I didn't meet another trans woman until I was 20 years old. There was a lot of hatred and a lot of terrible stereotypes that I saw growing up. Right, because prior decades before, like the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, these things wasn't around, if they was more hidden or they got shamed, but now as time goes on, these things are accepted. Like when you go into the statue of Daniel, I like to bring out that the head was of gold and the feet was of iron mixed with clay, showing you that gold is more valuable than iron, but iron is more stronger than gold as a metal, showing you that as society went on, and as society, these different kingdoms went towards the kingdom of heaven as time went on, was ultimately going to be Yahweh Shai's setup. But all these kingdoms got worse over time. That's the degrading of the metals. It morally got worse. And but military-wise, they got stronger, like through their technologies, through their planes, their bombs, their drones, and all of that. That's why iron is stronger than actual gold, but it's also actually a cheaper metal, So being a mentor for those students means the world to me. So what she's want to mentor them, and Esau, you can't say these different terminologies no more, but that's the family of the word coming too. On top of that, he wants to, he got you working, right? So he set up the oppression where you and your woman gonna have a falling out. The order as far as man and woman is destroyed. So you got a girl, y'all more likely to break up. Especially after she booby trap you, or set it up for you for the okie doke, right? You have a kid or marry her or some shit like that. So he got the gender wars going on, especially amongst the curses. That's been amongst Jake forever, but now it's hitting all other nations. So you at work, she at work, or y'all split up. You constantly working. You don't know what your kid being taught. You don't know what's going on. Then you don't really have time to tend to it. Like leave work and come there to check on it. I seen couples do the homeschool thing, but it take two for that to work, and it can be real draining. And you got to be on one accord with your woman. And the Lord said, "What bless his husband and wife that agree together." But these men and women, they don't agree together. You know what I mean? Jake wife up women all the time that don't believe what they believe or see things, operate from their worldviews. They just want to have sex or have them, have some ass, get some ass. But then when they, pop up pregnant, then it's like, yo, we not on the same accord. Well, she like, I want to do this with the baby. I want to do that. So, that's broken. The family structure is broken. Husband and wife don't agree together. So they being indoctrinated in these schools, but it's starting now from a younger and younger age. So she was like, look, so kids would see that and be influenced. And she said, well, I could be a mentor for these students. That means the world to me. I might not change their lives, but I can just let them know that if you need someone, there is a queer person in your life that you can talk to. My queerness is not the main attraction or feature of the classroom. It's just an organic part of it. So I'm gonna pull up some scriptures. But look, and she, paving the way. And that's CPS, what? Chicago Public Schools, right? And Chicago's, known to be, the public school system is a real shithole. But Chicago known to be a rough neighborhood at that. So what? And that's mainly targeting what? Jake kids. So like all these thugs out here, that whole masculine energy, because a thug, these thugs, they got they single mother spirit on them, but they still got some masculinity to them to, beat you up, punch you out, rob you, shoot you, go to jail, do some push-ups, that thug mentality, they still got it. But after a while, that whole shit is going to be done away with. You know what I'm saying? Especially, once the Lord reigns. But as time goes on, that whole thug spirit, hey, try doing it. Count 5 black men, so-called black men. You could do it with a Hispanic, but do it with 5 black men. I guaranteed you one of them be a sodomite, a transgender, or out of 5. 1 out of 5, or that's like running at like 20%. And that's not counting the people that's in the closet or that's hitting and so on. So what Esau's doing, he's targeting in the masculine energy, you know what I mean, in these inner cities and so on. So eventually these kids as thugs, they touch into that femininity and they wind up becoming homosexuals or transgenders. Let me grab this. Where was I at? Okay, 2 Timothy 2, 3, and 1. This knowing also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Right, so the world is in dangerous times. The birth rates is dropping, wars and rumors of wars, financial crisis, job rate, and so on. So what? The plagues is coming, the lockdown's about to get reset back up, race wars, class wars, and so on. That perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of them own selves. So that's the main point I wanted. That goes into what? Homosexuality. You know what I mean? And also conceitedness, right? When people take selfies and stuff like that. But that's twofold, because you can view that as gender, on top of the same gender. Homosexual, homo means same, like homogenous, homo same, sexual, same sex, same gender, right? As far as sexual preference. So men shall be lovers of themselves. So then you got people being envious of the other gender, you know. So you got men being envious of women wishing they was women, then women being envious of men wishing they was a man, you know, despising their curves, despising their breasts. Now I would say being a man, you know, is the greater gender in the sex, you know, because that's the head. But women also have their benefits too. It's great things being a woman also. A lot of benefits being a woman, that the Lord put benefits on each side. But now with the doctrine of the devil, he has convinced these genders to envy each other and want to be the other gender, despising their natural physical parts. And now Esau has the technology to change that. And I know this probably get taken. I keep saying Esau, but I've been saying Esau for the last 16 years, 17 years. So that probably, I got to kind of, you know, the famine of the words come in. Deuteronomy 23:1. He that is wounded in the stones or have his privy member cut off shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So there you go, because when you have a wound, you know what I mean, you close it up. So the modern day, you know, technology, you know, in old school, you know, they'll get a hot knife or some shit and put it on a wound, close the wound up after it's been cut open. So now it's more modernized. But the Lord said, what? You can't enter into the congregation of the Lord. But what? You're going to have these transformers as preachers. As time goes on, things just is going to get way too worse. And for you to like wrap your mind around it is just going to be like crazy. You know, going back to Sodom and Gomorrah, the Lord like, look, find 5 people here that's righteous in our spirit, you know. And they show you how bad and wicked it's going to get, especially here in the West. You know, shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. But you're going to have that. You're going to have teachers, politicians. You're going to have, you know, probably presidents and, you know, mayors and you name it, dealing with this. You know, and the pride is getting more. And according to in the LGBTQ, they gonna add the P to it, which is what? The pedo. You know what I mean? Because now children are growing up a lot faster than what they was, and that's why they brought the R. Kelly thing, the Epstein thing, and all this. But what? Then they gonna probably start what? Lowering the sexual age of consent, because now with the help of the internet, kids growing up faster. You got children that's fucking 7 years old that could hold a full conversation with a grown adult. You know, you know, they verbally, you know, they real eloquent. That's the word. They real eloquent how they form their sentences, construct their words, their body language, and so on. So eventually they're going to try to add the what? The P onto the LGBTQ, because that's all really under the same spirit, which is fornication. Because when you look up fornication, it goes into any lawful sexual practice. They probably throw bestiality in there. That's kind of already in there without it being mentioned. Because certain states, bestiality is actually legal. Like, you can't actually marry your dog or your horse in certain states. I believe, like, Ohio is one of them, if I'm not mistaken. But this Jeremiah 12:4. 12 and... Oh, it's 8 and 12. I'm about to say, I know I ain't tripping. Maybe it's 8 and 12. Yeah, were they ashamed when they had committed an abomination? The answer is no. Man, at first they was probably, in the 90s, because you got shamed for that, the 80s and going back, when the metals was more precious, when the world had more morals, basically. But nay, they were not ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore shall they fall amongst they that fall, and in the time of their visitations they shall be cast down, said the Lord. So what? The pride and all of that is being boosted up. And these positions of prestigious society, these superheroes, cheerleaders, and it's all going to have like a transgender superhero, because Esau practiced like you got the law of discrimination, right? So like they had the female Hulk, the female Spider-Man, and Catwoman, and all this, all these superheroes. So they're gonna have, like, if you watch Fast X, the last Fast and the Furious, the villain was a homosexual, a homo thug. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be like the new wave of things. This Psalms 12:8. It says the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. Right. So the most vilest men, and one of the vilest things you could do is transgender, homosexuality, fornication. Right. So it said the most vilest men are exalted. Right. And that's kind of like the lowest you can go. But on the wickedness side, that's the highest you could go. Homosexual, LGBTQ, all of that, that's the highest you could go. But on the righteousness side, that's the lowest you can go. So the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. The most lowest piece of shits of this world are going to be put on a pedestal. They're going to be exalted. They're going to be worshipped. They're going to be looked at as pillars of society, as icons of this world. And back, under the law, they was put to death. Let me get Leviticus 20:13. It said, if a man also lie with mankind as he lied with a woman, both of them had committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Right? So that was a righteous judgment. But now in this world, they liberated, and they also protected through laws, through hate speech, and so on, and this and that, right? So they have like the most rights. But now it's backfiring on a lot of women, because women had all these rights, but men are now able to take back their rights by becoming, or just acting like they a transgender, right? So he don't have to actually get the surgery. He could just put on a wig, lipstick, makeup, and he could go play in the NBA, right? And start dunking on women and stuff like that, right? And now women will lose their scholarships. They will lose everything, because you got males invading your space, right? And Esau can't say nothing, because you could sue under the Discrimination Act. But that's what they want anyway. So what would other team members do? The other coaches would start be like, well, I ain't gonna just be losing. I'm gonna get me some transgenders too on the team, just like the Negro League, right? So you had certain blacks into the sports from the Negro League, and they started dominating the field. Why? Because they had Israelites, blacks and Hispanics playing on their team. So what the other coaches do, he said, listen, I'm gonna get me some niggas on my team then. Like, you ain't just gonna be here blowing us the fuck out, winning all the trophies, getting all the money and the endorsements. I'm gonna get me some Negroes on my team, and we gonna fight my niggas and my white boys versus your niggas and your white boys. So that's gonna be the same thing that takes on in the sports world with the transgender, because at one point it's just gonna be like, you don't know who's who or what's what. And that's the whole thing of the Baphomet, the whole Baphomet. Okay, I can't speak. That's the whole thing of the Ba'ath Moet. You know, if you look at the Ba'ath Moet, it has what? Titties, and it has the seducers on it. Let me pull it up right quick. Images. So, see, this the Ba'ath Moet, right? And what? You had the seducers. See that on his stomach? That's the seducers, which goes into the medical field. But that's a man. You see the beard? That's a man. That's the goat head, right? Then you got the seducers. That's the medical field. That's the surgeries, you know. Then he got what? Titties also. So those breasts, that's on them. So it's breasts. Then he got a ride. So basically what is they saying? We gonna through our medical industry on the left hand side, we gonna be able to, by you making us your God, because the seducers really go back to Yahushua in the wilderness when he lift up the snake on the pole. You know what I mean? And it also represents the power of the Lord when Moses threw down a stick and it turned to the snake and it ate up Pharaoh's witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? But so you could do it on the left or the right hand side. So what they're saying, if you look to me as your God, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take control over you. And your spinal cord, if you know about the central nervous system, your brain and your spinal cord, that's where you get the ADD, ADHD, the mercury, and all that. And Mercury was a Roman god of alchemy. So through the pharmakia, the pharmaceutical world, they're able to take control over your central nervous system, your brain and your spinal cord through their witchcraft. You look into them at the snake on the pole, right? And they going through their medical industry. They're going to be able to change your gender, change man into woman, change woman into man. You won't know it's androgynous. You wouldn't know who's who or what's what. It's kind of like that now. You know, people push up. I remember we was in South Carolina. Chick was all on us or whatever. And I kind of shoved her off. I told brothers it was a man. You know what I mean? And brothers like, nah, bro, nah, elder, that wasn't no fucking man. It was a woman. But I was like, I mean, I could have been wrong. They could have been wrong. We all was sipping, but I looked at the bitch as a man. And I'm like, nah, get the hell out of here. But they was, you know, I passed it up. You know, brothers was like, yo, you should have, you know what I mean? Because I pissed her off, so she ain't want to talk to me or nobody I was with because I shut her down. But a so-called stripper out of Atlanta. But brothers, we ain't know what the fuck it was. I mean, brothers sworn it was. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like 60 or 70, and that's fucking enough for me. Brothers was like, you know, I don't know. I'm not saying brothers on no funny shit, but you know, like that's what this world is coming to, man. And that's why we need the Lamb to return. And with that, Lord willing, that was edifying to the sheep. Shalom. Yahweh Shalom. Shalom.